Check, check, check. Was that coming through the speakers? Is that how you've got it set up?
What do you mean?
Yo. Is that coming through the speakers?
No.
It's not? No, maybe I'm just...
You're hallucinating.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so what's the dealio, bro? Just winging shit. I mean, like, yeah. What are we doing on this planet? Making music, hey?
Why did you start making music?
That's a really good question, and I'm going to hit you back with that question after. Why did I start making music? Oh, well, I guess like my brother, when I moved to Australia, my brother introduced me to the radio, and I just kind of was like, because I didn't listen.
Wait,
yeah.
So you lived in France
Yeah.
and you didn't listen to the radio?
Not much at all. Like, yeah, it was weird. Like, music was just not like a thing for me. Like,
Wasn't on the radar.
it wasn't that I didn't want to. It's just I didn't know about it. Like, I knew that music was a thing. But
Imagine you grew up not knowing.
yeah, but like, you know, music that I like wasn't. I didn't know about it. You know.
Yeah.
Bro, it's crazy. Like, I didn't even know who Michael Jackson was. Like, you know, I was just completely oblivious to music. And then so like my older brother showed me the radio when I came to Australia, and I was like, I got into it heaps, you know, so I would listen to the radio, and because it was like all the top hits and shit, and it was like kind of around like 2010, 2015, or earlier than 2015, around 2010, it was all like the dance music era. So like, you know, like Jason Derulo, that sort of stuff. And like, I kind of really liked that. So I started like dancing, like hip hop dancing and stuff. And I went through a whole phase of that. Like, and then, yeah, I kind of lost interest in dance and stuff.
Why?
Oh, well, like, you know, like as a teenager, I kind of like went off track a bit and stuff. And then like dance could have been a career sort of thing. Like I could have been a dance teacher or some shit. Like I was kind of going towards that path. And then I kind of flushed it down the drain, you know, when I was like a teenager. But then like from that, I kind of found rap music and stuff. And then I guess started rapping, and then started going back to like, you know, looking through the 90s and stuff like that and finding artists who I liked. And that's how I kind of got into it. And then picking up like, you know, production and stuff as well. So I guess it was just like, it was like me being a kid and not knowing about, like knowing that music exists, but not like really diving into it until I came to Australia. And then from that, just like being inspired from music and stuff. And yeah, that kind of, yeah. What about yourself? Why did you start making music?
I used to work for like, we subcontracted for a electrical company that made like transformers that go on power poles and stuff. So that the power goes from the line to your house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we made the cables that connected them, and I was working with this guy, and he said he started making music, and he was like into EDM and stuff.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, that's cool, and he played some stuff over the speaker, and I just thought that was the coolest thing, like that you just made your own music, like you just make it however you want, and that it was actually good.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
so he produced and stuff.
Yeah.
What did he use?
It was FL.
Oh, okay,
He only just started.
Right.
And, you know, I guess like when everyone starts, we're just using loops and stuff. So it sounded like music. And I was like, wow, like you can start and you can make something that resembles music pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like a lot of I can do this belief kind of thing helped me sort of just go for it, because I mean, I listened to a lot of music growing up and stuff like that, but it was never like, I had the point of view, like if you weren't talented and you couldn't like sing or anything naturally, then
you couldn't do it sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not really something you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of got into production, and I always wanted to like do vocals and stuff too, but I was too scared.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sort of naturally progressed from there. Like as I got decent at production, I'm like, I'll try this thing, auto tune, and it will save me at the very least.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of how it progressed for me. Very different. That's so.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I think like, yeah, because I used to be heaps into dancing. Like I would do dance classes and, you know, like I was in a dance crew for a while, like in school.
What was the dance crew called?
It was called Robotics Crew.
Robotics crew.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Jabwalkies. Have you ever heard?
Yeah.
It was pretty much kind of biting the Jabwalkies. Like it was, you know, like we would literally like sometimes we'd like put masks on, like the same Jabberwocky mask to like, because we were kind of like really into it and stuff.
Yeah.
That was like the sort of style, and it was huge for us. We did like a few like performances here and there and shit. But yeah, I think the dancing really got me into like the hip hop side, and then from hip hop like came rap, if that makes sense.
Right. So you like dancing to hip hop, and that's kind of how you got.
Yeah, and especially with the break dancing as well. When I did a bit of break dancing, because that's kind
of crazy.
Yeah, because that's like, you know, break dancing kind of has that kind of old school feel to it. Bro, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. Do you know what a flare is? Have you ever seen a flare? It's like, I'm not going to do it here, but like.
Please.
But it's like where you kind of like, your legs kind of flip up like that and go back.
Oh,
around.
Yeah.
So like, I was learning how to do a flare and I couldn't land it. Like, I was doing it for ages. I was trying to get it. And I would land like on the side of like my hip like this all the time, like on the ground. And it got to a stage where it was so bad that I had this massive bruise, like, because I kept trying and I kept landing on it, and it got more and more painful the more I would do it. I was like, oh no. And then literally, like, it's weird. It's kind of like a brain muscle. Like, as soon as I got it, it was like click.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like it's like muscle memory or whatever. And then, you know, I could probably still do it, but I don't know. You know,
damn, that is crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy how like, you know, a certain thing that you can be so passionate about gets you into this whole new world, and then from there you kind of go to the something that's a bit different, but in the same sort of world. If you know what I mean? Yeah.
That sort of reminds me, well, not reminds me, but makes me think of a different question that's kind of way out of the ballpark of music. But
Yeah.
do you think there is like fate or destiny? Or do you think like it's kind of, do you believe in free will or determinism? Like, do you feel like you have a destiny, you have a fate, and you're just living your life and it's going to lead to that destination? Or, you know, you can kind of choose your own way. And maybe if you'd made a different decision, you wouldn't be here.
Well, man, that's a tough question, because like, you know, I kind of look at it like, what if I had never started dancing? Would I have like gotten into music and stuff like that? You know, like, I think like it's a bit of both. I think like obviously the decisions you make, the paths you take.
That should be a line.
Yeah, I always gonna, you know, it's always gonna change. It's always gonna change your path or whatever. But I also think that if deep down you're really passionate about something and you know that that's your calling, I guess, then yeah. So kind of yes to both.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Did you have a passion like outside of music, and like even like there was dancing, then there was music? Is there anything outside of that, or even now?
Well, I mean, like I've always said that like if I didn't do music, I would probably do some sort of like marketing or something, like, you know, learn how to market for people and stuff like that, or like just influencers, I don't know, something like that, you know? Because like I've always been a big fan of like testing things, like trial and error, like seeing what works and what doesn't, and figuring out how to make strategies and stuff like that. But like recently, like, I mean, I've always loved the gym and stuff, but like I have really started liking videos, like, you know, like doing things like color grading and stuff it's been a whole new thing for me, if you know what I mean? Like, especially the color grading, because I never really thought that was a thing. Like, I would always watch movies and be like, oh, like, that's interesting, but it's surely it's simple, like it's nothing complex, but it's actually a lot more complex than I thought. And as soon as I got into like doing a bit of it and like studying it a bit, I was like, wow, this is a whole new world, like, you know. So I've been enjoying that, but then also like, you know, like getting into soccer and stuff, because I played like soccer on the street when I was a kid in France, you know.
Yeah, so, true.
Like getting back into that after like 15 years has been kind of cool. Like, it's been fun. But yeah, what about yourself? Like, okay, here, like 2 questions. If you weren't doing music, what do you reckon you would do? And yeah, do you have any other like kind of hobbies or passions outside of music?
I think if I wasn't doing music, I would have a business.
Okay.
Of some description, which is kind of what music is like nowadays. But it would be a business of some description. And I guess that's kind of what I'm interested in outside of music, even though it's like sort of incorporated. A lot of like self-development and like self-help books.
Yeah.
All the like discipline, like listen to podcasts. Like I'm just curious and want to learn as much as I can about anything because, yeah, I don't know. I've just always wanted to know stuff, and I feel like that oh shit moment can come from anywhere, and that's the best thing for me. Like when you're like, oh my God, like that's some real shit you just said, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that's like why I do music as well. Like, when you listen to a song for the first time and you're like, oh my God, like this is insane. Like, it's the same kind of feeling. And I want to be able to be around that as much as possible. I don't even have to be the one making it, even though like it really helps.
Yeah.
It's just being around that feeling and sharing that with other people, like having a conversation. And then the other person says something, you're like, it completely shifts the way you view the world. It solves a problem in your head.
Open windows in your mind. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I would say. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's dope. Yeah, like what about because obviously like you're a wizard with production. Like production, like it's crazy, man. The fact that you know, you've only made music for a couple years or something, and like, you know, you're putting together out of this world sort of stuff.
You're too kind.
No, literally. Like, where do you think you would be if you had never done production? Do you reckon you would still jumped into the music stuff, or that kind of goes back to the fate versus direction question? But
yeah, I think if I go back to the day when I found out about FL and my friend, funnily enough, his name was Brendan as well, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And if it just never came up, where would I be? Like, I don't know. Because I was studying engineering at uni.
Yeah, okay.
And I felt myself coming towards the end of, well, I was coming to the realization that isn't for me.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have the music to kind of jump onto and there was nothing else, I don't know what would happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with that nowadays, like there's so many fucking things to do. You don't know what to choose, so you kind of choose nothing. And you just feel like lost.
Yeah.
Almost. And I feel like that's where I would have been.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting, man. Cause like, I feel like for some people, you know, they have a full-time job, which they don't mind. They might even like the job, you know, like, and then they're, you know, they're happy to just chill and just work and hang out with friends and do that sort of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But then like you obviously got people who are more like, no, I want to keep like taking things to the next level. And like there's nothing wrong with both and stuff. But it's just like interesting because like, yeah, like, and that kind of comes to a question I've got for you. And it's like, what, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but what's like your idea of success? Like what, you know, through this music stuff, like what would be the ideal life, you reckon? Like in, let's say, the next 5 to 10 years?
I've thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
Because especially in the beginning, like every other rapper of all time, they want bitches, they want money, they want fame, you know, all of these things. But when you start with wanting those things, you quickly realize that when you're getting 20 views on your reels, that isn't going to be the thing that gets you through. Like if that's all you want, you're not really going to persevere through and get to that goal, if that makes sense. Like it just wouldn't happen. I mean, it does for some people, but for me personally, that wasn't going to be the thing that pushed me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of like thought about it more like, why do I want these things? And the thing that it kind of just all boiled down to fundamentally was just freedom.
Yes.
But also connection with other people. And that's something that I'm really like starting to realize. And I thought for the longest time, like, I'm going to do it myself. Like, I'm going to be in my room, I'm going to make music all day and I'm going to be happy. But I started to realize the reason I'm making music is to connect with other people.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my ideal life would be to make the music with the people that I want to make the music with on any level that I want to, and have no barriers between me and that creativity. Like, I want to be financially successful so I can buy the gear that I want. I can hire the studios. I can, I can, you know, hire an orchestra if I wanted to, you know, but also
you can make an orchestra through FL though.
That's
We've
true,
seen
that's
that
true.
done. But yeah, I know what you mean.
And the second part of that is I want to share that with people and share the feeling that I get when I make something. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it's not even, it's not the music itself. It's what the music makes you feel. And that's like what I'm that's what I'm chasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. I think like freedom is a great word because it's like, you know, to be a full-time musician, like, you know, it might be about having like a job, you know, and doing music like on the side sort of thing, or it might be about like, you know, being the artist who tours everywhere, you know, and it's interesting because like I actually was having this conversation yesterday with a friend. Like, for me personally, I would not want to just be the type of artist who goes on tour all year and can you imagine that? Like, for some people they love it, like, you know, but I couldn't imagine that. Like, imagine having to go to a show like every day or every second day and touring. And I mean, it's an awesome experience because you're touring the world and stuff, but like it almost becomes like so expected of you to do that it's like you get tied into it, if you know what I mean. Like, I would love to be able to just have freedom to make music and go do shows when I want to, but then chill when I want to, you know? A great example of an artist who does this well is like Nick D. Have you heard of Nick D? Yeah. So he pretty much he lives on a farm, has kids, has a wife, has animals and stuff, and he makes music, and he's so consistent, and he's huge, like, and it's, you know, it's financially supporting him easily, and he only like performed for the first time a few months ago.
Yeah.
You know, like, and being able to do that and just be like, have that freedom of like being able to create music when you want to create music, not have to be like, I need to create music to keep myself going.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a stage where you have to do that, you know, and a lot of people say that like the stage before you know, become successful as an artist or whatever that means, successful, you know, that is the stage where you make the best music. That the hunger is there.
The grind, yeah.
I've heard that a lot from people. Like that's where the magic happens, because there is that thing of I need to keep going. I need to stay constant. You know, like sorry, I'm going a bit off track.
No, keep going.
But like, yeah, I feel like freedom is the word, because you like, imagine like, you know, getting signed to a label and stuff, and you know that is, look, I'm not really the type with labels and stuff, but like whatever works for you, you know what I mean?
Course, yeah.
But like, can you imagine being in a situation where it becomes such a chore, and what you need to do, like as an artist and make music and stuff, it's like so expected of you that you start hating it and resenting it, and then you're stuck in that situation. Like, what I think is great about being independent is like, just, you can like, once you get to a certain point, like you can decide whatever you want to do, you know, like, and I think like in terms of like getting to that stage where you've got that freedom, I personally, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think it's all about sources of income, you know? Like it only makes sense that if you can make money from multiple avenues, it's safer, you know? It's like you can expand that way, you know? Like, because I feel like if you put all your eggs in the one basket, then if that, whatever that is, stops, then it's, you know, it's harder to support yourself.
Yeah.
But let's say like, okay, let's say you start making a bit of money off streaming, but you also run workshops, you know, like a workshop every week, you know, or you edit videos for someone, like, you know, or like you go busking, I don't know, you know, like, or you produce for a big artist and get a royalty split, and you know, that's passive income, you know, or you make music for sync licensing, like building that whole, like all those streams of income can really help you keep moving forward. You know, I think that's like such a huge thing. It's like this, like in these days, there's so many ways you can make money, like so many different ways, that like I feel like it's better to find multiple ways to make money instead of like focusing on one or two ways. I don't know. That's just, you know.
Yeah, there will probably be only one thing I would say about that.
Yeah, okay.
And I think a lot of people run into the problem of burnout for a similar reason for what you're saying. And a lot of like the things I've learned about business is the statistic of like the average millionaire has like 6 streams of income or whatever that is. Yeah. The way to make $1 million isn't by having 6 streams of income. It is by focusing on one and building it up to the point where you can then diversify and then stabilize yourself. You kind of think about building a building, for instance. If you're building 6 buildings at once, it's going to take longer for you to reach a certain height.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But if you focus on just building one, and then say it's an apartment building, you start renting out the apartments and you're getting more and more income from this one building, then you can start building another building. Yeah. Then you can start building this building. That
makes sense, yeah.
And I think, especially with today on social media, all these people like marketing themselves. I made $20,000 this month doing this e-commerce and SMMA, like all these little things. they're splitting one person off in a million different directions, and your attention is your most valuable asset. And if you can keep that focused on one thing for a sustained period of time, that's when you're going to get the most growth. And that's mainly because everyone else is like looking at 100 things at once.
Yeah,
and the only way to get ahead is by focusing.
It's kind of like niching down. I guess like you kind of have to have a balance, I think, and like figure out like it's like the 80-20 principle. Like if you're doing like a side job once a week and it's not paying much at all, like is because time is valuable. Time is so valuable. I think time is more valuable than money, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, come on.
100%. Yeah. Duh. No, but like I think like, you know, like if you're doing one thing and it's like it's taking up your time and it's not paying you much, then it might be better to go do something else, you know.
Yeah.
Like put your energy into something else, you know. But yeah, I think also like just trying to find things that can be like passive income is good too, because then you don't necessarily have to focus on those things. You can just let those things go, and that's why also like automation is good too, like making things work on autopilot. So like if you're running a business, you might get to a point where you can take a step back and let someone else do stuff for you, you know.
100%.
Like definitely.
Yeah, I want to kind of go back to that idea of success thing. I think another important part of that is not viewing success, and it's cliche as fuck, but not viewing success as like a destination or somewhere to get to or a ladder to climb, but just like, am I enjoying what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
And I think it's really easy for me, at least, to get distracted in like, I need to do this so that I get this done, and then I can get there, and then I'll have this, and then I can do it. But if I'm doing it right now, then sounds kind of woo-woo, but the universe will take care of the rest.
Yeah.
What do you kind of think of that idea?
Well, I think like the thing is like there's so many like famous like successful artists who get, and I don't know if this answers much of the question, but like they get like famous or whatever and make money, but then they fight to stay relevant and stuff. And it's like it's interesting because it's like success is such a weird word, because it's like we might be more successful right now than we will be in like 5 years, and we could be like famous in 5 years, you know.
That's the thing, like a lot of people who have gotten to success often look back at the grind. They're like, those were the good old days, like we're in the good old days now.
Yeah, definitely.
And recognizing that is
crazy,
super,
And that's why I think you always gotta like be grateful and stuff. And I think, you know, social media is so toxic.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like those platforms are meant to make you feel small and feel like you're not good enough and stuff. But yeah, that's interesting, you know, because like you might be more successful, as in like happy successful right now, compared to in the future, you know. So yeah, it's quite interesting, and there's so many artists who fight to stay relevant and stuff, you know. And can you imagine being in that situation? Like
you're a hamster on a wheel at that point.
Yeah. The world's fucked up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it can eat you up if you don't like.
Oh yeah, like literally, bro. You might be like so relevant and stuff, and then a few years later, people just don't care.
Yeah.
You know? Because they're always looking for that next hit, you know? Yeah.
I don't think we really got to like your idea of success.
Okay, yeah.
Let's run us through a day of MN Capo's dream life.
Wake up in a Ferrari. No.
Wake up in a Ferrari.
No. I think just like, I think like just having like a nice studio with like nice like analog gear, like, or, you know, and being able to just be like, hit artists up and be like, let's come and let's create music in this really nice space that has like all these different instruments and like different sound gear and stuff, and just be able to create music like that and not think about the freedom, like that, like having that freedom of like not having to think about, are we going to release this, or like how are we going to release this, or like even thinking about like paying like producers before even writing stuff, like, you know, just be able to get in the studio with other creators and just work on music and make beautiful art, you know, and, you know, whatever comes out of it, like if it gets released, whatever, you know, but not having that mindset of just thinking about it as a product, if you know what I mean, but also thinking about it as the experience and doing it for the love of it, if you know what I mean. But in saying that, you got to have that freedom to be able to do that. So I think, like I said, like just being able to make enough money from things that I've built up, like, you know, if it's passive income, or like if, you know, I'm still mixing for artists and stuff like that, and giving me that freedom and to be happy, you know, and be able to like just create awesome music without having like all the distractions and stuff. And also just like being able to have a team that can deal with all the bullshit of social media, you know, like, so that all I need to do is create and collaborate, you know, and even if it's like they're filming behind the scenes for content, whatever, just do my thing, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And be able to have the freedom of not be locked into a contract with a label or perform so much that it's expected from my fan base, but just being like, no, I want to go away and just chill for a bit, you know? And
I want to go to Greece for 2 months, rent out a villa and just make beats, you know?
Yeah. And be a boss at finger drumming too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I reckon that's it, man. It's just like, because I think, me personally, I don't feel like I've got that freedom of like, I can really, really, really enjoy making music at the moment. Like, I feel like it's like I make music because I love it, but it's also, I want to get to, I'm making music to be able to get to that point where I got that freedom. And same with business. I'm doing business to get to that point where I've got that freedom. So then I can just be like, no, I'm going to go hit the studio all day with like this saxophone player and this guy who's got a crazy voice, like, you know, you know what I mean? And just create.
Yeah, I think there's two missing legs, well, not missing legs, but legs that if they were really strong, it would be much easier to get to where we're talking about, is obviously the money aspect. Just being able to pay for sessions, you know, get gear, pay for a studio, whatever. And also, like, there's not really a nice word for it, but status is probably the best word. Like you were talking about, like being able to hit up people and have them come over, like anyone you can think of, whether it's Drake or whether it's a saxophone player, you know, and everyone's down to come, you know. And I think, you know, I'm always down to make music, and I'll be happy to make music whether I get paid or not, because I'm not getting paid right now, you know. So I know I have the passion for it, and it's just exciting to see it on the horizon, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I think you'll get there. And like it is a very tricky thing, because a lot of people say, I don't make music for the money or whatever, for the popularity. I do it because I love it. But what situation are you in? You know, are you in a situation where you've got a job that you love and you make music on the side and you love it? Are you in a situation where you've got fuck tons of money, so you've got that freedom to be able to make music and love it? Are you in that situation where like you're struggling as an artist, you know?
Yeah.
It's an interesting topic to talk about because yeah, like what is the idea of success for you, you know? And for someone might love making music for the love of it, but they also really like the idea of being able to like have a big fan base and stuff, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, the idea of having a big fan base is to play shows would be, I just love performing, but also just being able to connect with so many people and have the energy.
That energy.
Could
create
you imagine
that vibe. Create that vibe.
60,000 people in an arena?
Yeah, yeah. 10 clippers on the master. 10 clippers.
Like,
yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, but like, I feel like for you, it's like, it's not, when you say that, it's not you trying to say, I want to be the best. Like, as in, maybe there's some elements of that, but like, I don't think that's in an arrogant way. I think it's like, you just want to fucking make something amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you want to create that vibe, something that people won't forget, you know? And certain artists are just like more about like, oh, I just want to look like the best.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's an ego thing. But I think for you, it's like, no, you just want to make something crazy dope, like something that's going to impact people's lives, you know? And like, I can hear that in your music because it's like a lot, like, you know, the production side too, like just having that, you know, that energy, that those 808s and those kicks that hit so hard. and you know, like your atmospheric vocals and stuff. But I can imagine exactly what that would be like at a huge concert, you know? Like, yeah, that would be just amazing. And I think like for me, like I don't really see myself being the best performer. Like I've always thought that I'd rather focus on making art that can be presented through like really cool, like artistic music videos and stuff like that. I think I'm more on the like side of like releasing and presenting the music visually and stuff rather than putting on a killer performance that's massive, you know what I mean?
See, that's interesting because I find I don't know if it's from your dance background or whatever, but like you're such a good like natural performer. Like watching you do your set a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of shocked. I was not expecting, like you just got up there and I don't know, you were just comfortable. You were just yourself and everyone in the room just felt it. They just softened instantly. Yeah. And like you got people up, they were dancing towards the end. Like I haven't seen that from a smaller artist ever. So I don't know whether like,
yeah, I mean, it's like, I love performing and stuff. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, like it's like, I just don't see myself, the type of music and stuff being presented to like a huge concert like that, really working as much as like an artist like yourself, because I think your music just works better for that, if you know what I mean, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more niche what like your sound is.
Yeah.
But I think, there's no difference in depth. Like the people that resonate with your kind of music would resonate as deeply as someone who resonates with my kind of music as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think like that's really what I'm going for. Like it's not about numbers, but it's about depth.
Yeah.
And I just think it'd be cool to get that depth with as many people as I can. Like it's not about a specific number. It's not
creating that vibe, creating that atmosphere for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
What's something you think you're avoiding that is the biggest obstacle between you and where you want to go?
Oh, bro.
Like something you're just a little bit scared of taking the leap because you're either going to be bad or you're worried about what people are going to think or, you know, being rejected?
Wow, that's a tough question, man. Like, I think just like really focusing like on less things and really just putting my whole mind and soul into sharpening the craft, you know? Because like I do so much stuff, like I run a business and like I do content and stuff. It's hard for me to really maximize my full potential as an artist, you know? And I think that's something that I want to work on a lot. But I also think that self-doubt always creeps into it, you know? It's like, man, like, is the music even good? Like, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, is it even worth me giving this a shot? Or should I just like be a sound engineer or like be a producer and not have to like deal with always being self-doubt? Because to be fair, like sometimes I wish I never started rapping and I was just like a producer or an engineer, because like it's still a lot of work, but like you can find so many really talented artists and just work with them. And then it's like, oh, cool. I don't have to be the person in the spotlight. I just can create and build that connection and get heaps of opportunities and stuff like that. You know? And in a way, you're an artist as well, just a bit different, you know? But when it's your own lyrics, your own vocals, your own thoughts that are getting put out there, there's just so much more self-doubt in that. And it's like, what defines a really good artist, you know? Because like art is subjective. It's like the music I put out, a lot of people will say they like it. A lot of the time I don't like it. Like that's just in my head. It's like, I don't think it's that good. Like, or I don't like my voice, or, you know, I could have added more to this, you know? And then you compare yourself with other artists and stuff, you know, and it becomes a endless loop. So yeah, I guess just like what's holding me back is just letting things like social media and stuff consume me and hold me back from really maximizing my art, maximizing my potential, if that makes sense. What about yourself?
Well, before I answer that, I have another question. If you could imagine you delete all of your social media accounts, or you just don't go on social media for 5 years.
Damn.
Do you think you'd be closer to where you want to be or further away?
That is so tricky because, oh man, like, I mean, the thing is like, if that was the case and I only focus on creating music, I could be an amazing artist. I don't know. I mean, I could still be really inspired from like books and listening to music and stuff like that, I guess. But like in terms of a business side, I think it'd be a much, much harder thing to like after that 5 years try and jump into it, you know? But like I kind of like the idea of it in a way, because man, without social media, you got so much time.
Yeah,
you got so much time. Not even if you're not putting out posts, like, because it's so addictive. Like, it's so many artists like don't post anything, but they're always on social media. Like, you know. So I think like in terms of like the craft, I think, yeah, I'd be a way, way better artist, like way better musician. But in terms of like the business side and stuff, I think I'd be like, I wouldn't be very good at that, you know?
How important is the business side to your goals?
Well, I think it's quite important because like that's, you know, I want to have a career in music and stuff, you know? So I think like to be able to get out there and stuff, it's quite important. So like, that's the thing though, like creating videos and stuff, I feel like always sacrifices a bit of the art. But at the same time, like even if you think about like mini music videos and stuff, that's art as well, you know? So yeah, that's a tough question. But like, I think if it was like maybe 6 months, that'd be doable.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I have thought about doing that before and stuff. The issue as well is because I run a business. It's like, man, why did I start running a business? You know what I mean? Because now it's like you're kind of tied into it in a way. You know.
See, then my question is, because I kind of go back and forth on this myself. Like I see you're mixing. Like I see Backer, he does producing, mixing sessions. Like, would it be better for me to create a business around music? Mm-hmm. Would that further my skills more, or have a job like I have now, work the job to live, and the rest of the time is just make the fucking music?
Look, I think the situation you're in now, like in terms of like having the job and working on the music and stuff, I feel like there would be more desire, like more motivation and drive, if you know what I mean. Because you go to a job that I don't know if you like your job. Like most people don't like their job, but
Bro, if you,
but you know, like you come home and all you think about is making music, right? Is that right? Like
for the most part, yeah.
For the most part, like you're like, damn, like. But when you're running like a production and business and stuff, it's like you're making music for other artists as your job. So then sometimes you just get so sick of it. Like not saying that I don't like working for other artists, but like it drains you in a creative way. So then like you kind of like, oh, I could make music, but I've been mixing all day and like I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Like, you know. And the other thing is the fact that you've got more flexible time. I feel like it's easier to procrastinate as well. So like, for example, right, if I've got, let's say a typical day might be like, okay, I've got to finish that beat. I've got to mix this track for this client. I've got to schedule out content or whatever. And I've got to work on the website. Let's say those 4 things. Let's say, and let's say that at the end of the day, I want to work on music, whether that's recording, mixing, or like writing, right? Let's say 2 of those 4 things that I'm going to do throughout the day don't happen because I'm either procrastinating or I spend too much time on one thing. But then I'm like, oh, damn, these 2 other things I really do have to do. So like your work day then becomes an extra 2 hours, for example.
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of the day, oh, I haven't gone to the gym yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Bro, you just explained my life.
Yeah. So then you're like, well, instead of working on my own music or mixing for my music, whatever, I'm going to catch up and do that 4th thing for business. And then, you know, like that flexibility, or like, oh, I'll just work on it tomorrow. And then, oh, no, actually I'll just work on it tomorrow. You know, it like the lines kind of get blurred between working on your music and and working on your business.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got really good discipline, then you can be really good at that, you know, and that's something I've always tried to work on. But like, I feel like for some people, having that job actually helps them because it actually gives them more drive to be like, I cannot think of anything worse than being here right now. As soon as I get home, I'm going to write some lyrics, you know? So it's a tricky one, you know? It's like, but you know, there's always ways where like someone might be like, okay, I'm going to work for the next year and I'm just going to save up so much. And then I'm going to take 3 months off and just put heaps of money into music and just go crazy. And then see that actually kind of taken off and then like being like, I don't have to work anymore. Like the music's making the money, you know?
Mm.
So like, I think there's lots of kind of ways to look at it. like I used to think like when I started just doing full time myself, I was like, oh, yes, I don't have to work. Like, I mean, I still work at Street Uni like once a week, but I was like, yes, I don't have to work for anyone. I can just work for myself. And as the years kind of went on, I was like, oh, damn, it's like sometimes I just wish that I would like just get a job.
Yeah.
So that I would have that drive, more of that drive, you know. But then when you've built a business, it's like, you know, it's so slow. Business is slow, man. Like it's like it slowly builds and builds and builds and builds, you know, and then you get to a point where it's like you don't want to turn back because then you've worked on it so much, you know. But I think like that's kind of a curse of like owning a production business and making your own music. It's like the lines get blurred and, you know, it's easy to be just lazy about it as well, you know?
Yeah.
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 But in saying that, you can always kind of do a bit of the both, you know, you can have like side hustles and stuff. And, you know, still make some efficient income each week and have heaps of time to work on music and stuff. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like by no means have I got it down perfectly. Like I waste too much time.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for the job I do have at the moment because it's not like it's something that I can listen to stuff while I'm working. Like I don't have to be fully focused on, it's not like customer service or anything like that. So I can focus on other things. Like I can listen to music, podcasts, and I've had some of my best ideas at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the distance from it, while it can be painful at times because all you want to do is make music, you kind of, distance makes the heart grow fonder. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's tough because I kind of think about it. I'm like, if I was to mix for other people, I feel like I would run into a lot of the issues you're talking about. And is that better or worse than what I have? I don't know. And I probably will never know.
Yeah, well, look, I think like either way, it's hard. It's hard to be an artist. Either way, if you've got a full-time job and you make music on the side, or if you run your own business, it's hard. It's always going to be hard, you know? Like, there are other ways where you can look at it. Like there's certain like music producers who, instead of doing the whole selling beats or selling mixing and mastering and stuff, they work with artists. Like they, you know, and they work with artists 50-50 and really work on building something, like creating something. And I've kind of started like gravitating towards that a bit more because after a while, like, you know, selling beats, I think mixing is, I think I prefer mixing than selling beats, to be honest, because selling beats isn't always reliable. And you got to keep making beats and stuff. With mixing, it's like you get handed the stems and you mix it, you know, and then you move on to the next mix. With selling beats is like you might make a beat sale and then not have a beat sale for like a month and you're still making beats. So even though you got a huge catalog of beats, you know, so it's like, but what's great about doing the whole 50-50 thing with an artist is that you can find an artist who you really believe in and you think is going to go, you know, get out there and be like, let's create something. We'll do 50-50 split. Let's create something really dope. Let's work on a project or something. And then you can see that come to life. And eventually, if that artist kind of takes off, you're making passive income because you've got like those 50-50 deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is that's a different type of business model. I think that's more of being an artist as a producer, if you know what I mean. So there's there's always that option. And who knows, it might be like you still work at a job, but you kind of just like start working with artists like on projects like that. And eventually, like if you stick to it, eventually you're literally making mailbox money. It's passive income. And then you can be like, oh, damn, I don't need this job anymore. I can just make music.
Yeah.
You know? And I can still work with artists and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's a beauty in that.
See, I get to that point and I'm just like, I'll just make that artist me, you know?
Yeah,
Because
I
then
feel
I
that.
can control all the variables as much as
Feel
possible.
Yeah,
But-
but you got to play in the way you got to play the game a bit, you know. And there's nothing wrong with like working for artists while you build your own artistry as well.
And there's definitely something I want to do, like, that's in the success pool, I guess you would say, is working with other people. And then once you're up there, it's a lot easier to bring other people up with you too. So
Yeah. Well, you look at Kenny Beats, like that's a huge example of a producer who's successful, who worked with artists. Like was his thing. He's like, let's create something dope.
Yeah.
Instead of like being, I make beats and I sell them, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, because that's what I do. You know, but
Yeah.
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, well, maybe I just want to really create something awesome. And, you know, I love a lot of the beats that I put out and stuff, but like, I want more. I want to be able to be like, I don't want to just make this to sell it as a product. Like,
Yeah.
I want to really test myself as a producer and work with an artist who's really passionate, you know, and like take things to the next level, make amazing music. And I feel like from that, like you can get a lot better at producing your own stuff too, you know, because it's like practice.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But there's so many avenues, like even sync, you know, like sync is one of those ones where it takes a long time to get into and it can be a real headache. But like you could like start making music for film and TV and you get paid so much from that, even though it usually takes ages to get paid from a project. You can do that like and get paid heaps and then work on your own music, you know?
Yeah.
So there's so many different avenues, but like, yeah, I think it's different for everyone, and I don't think it's easy either way. Like, because I used to think like when I used to work like I've never worked full time. I've worked casual, but pretty much full time in a way. Certain times, I've always thought like, oh, it'd be so amazing to just like work for myself and like not have to work for anyone. But then when you do it for a long enough time, it's kind of the other way around. You're kind of like, oh, maybe I just want a full-time job that's going to pay me a certain amount each week. And then it's going to give me more hunger, more drive to make music, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. I think like, yeah, just that thing of there's a million different ways to do it and they're all hard.
Yeah.
So you just, you know, you
There's
got to
no
pick the one that you
shortcuts.
enjoy.
There's no shortcuts. And that goes back to like, you know, playing the long game too. Like you might blow up and then next year you'd no one, you know? So it's like, it's so easy to like, and I can't fully say this because I haven't been in this situation where I've blown up, but like, it would be so easy to be like, okay, I'm famous now. Like, I mean, there's different levels of fame. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you're Justin Bieber or Drake, it's like you're never gonna be irrelevant, you know, or you might even like down the track. But like, I'm talking about
You
like
might even want to be at that level. Like,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
wants to be that famous?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, just because you see like the numbers and the money and stuff doesn't mean that's going to last, you know? So it's about playing the long game. And I think it's always better if it takes a long time to get to a certain stage rather than just like taking shortcuts and being like, bang, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing that's kind of like on this topic is like, you know, like sometimes I always think like, oh, I don't know if I like my artist image. I don't know if I like the artist name. I don't know if like it would be better to rebrand and start fresh, you know. But and shout out to actually I shouldn't say too much, but I'm just gonna say shout out to Shaggy J. But like I think like he made me realize that you don't just because you've got a certain alias right now doesn't mean that you can't like make a new alias down the track and not feel like, oh, okay, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like that's a part of your life. That's a part of your journey. I can be MN Capo for the next few years and then be like, nah, you know what? That was that. It's cool. I'm not gonna like hide it or anything.
Yeah.
But I want to step into a new world and become a different alias and then do that journey. And, you know, and I thought that was real powerful because like I've always kind of doubted my alias and been like, oh, maybe I should rebrand. But I wouldn't even say rebrand. I would say keep that brand, but move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like, approach to a career. You're kind of just like going through different scenes in a play
Yeah.
and you're just changing characters.
I mean, can you imagine how much like passion you would have if like how much patience you could have and passion and stuff if you were like, you make an alias and it kind of becomes a bit famous and then you're like, that was cool, but I want to go back to when it was like the hustle. So then you make a new alias and you start fresh, start all over again.
I don't think it's really, especially if you're like popping, to go from popping to starting fresh is difficult because people will just find you. But if you like disappeared and then started fresh.
Yeah, but it's still hard. Like
Yeah.
it's not easy to just like get to that same level, you know? And you know, like yeah, I don't know. I just find that interesting that there's no rules. Like there's no rules to it. You don't have to say, okay, I'm rebranding and I'm going to like delete all the socials and delete all the music and shit. No, you don't have to do that. You can keep all that up and create a new Instagram account and like just start grinding again, you know? How cool would it be to get to that point of freedom multiple times in your life? Like be like, start from scratch again.
And I feel like the first time you do it, you'd have it, well, you wouldn't have it figured out, but you'd get to the second one faster because you would have gained all the skills and the knowledge.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be fun to like get somewhere, start over, get there again, start it, and just play the game over and over again.
Bro, this is going to sound crazy, but like AI, right? Like, can you imagine like, because this will happen, like people who have not much like musical skill create an artist that's AI and then it's like almost like a competitive thing. Like they try and blow this AI artist up, you know, like, and then it becomes a whole business model. Like, you know, you can start creating AI artists and we will blow them up for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're not the artist anymore. You're like creating.
you're creating the artist. How crazy is that? That would be crazy, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if that like becomes the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's not too far removed from where we are now. Like Brendan and Breezy are kind of, I mean, they're similar people, but they're not the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not because like I'm deliberately making them different. It's just because like the things you post on social media,
Yeah.
the songs you write, like that's a snapshot of who Brendan is,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that wouldn't really be very different to going to an AI program and doing it that way.
Well, I mean, like, there are certain artists who their whole thing is like an animation, you know? And that's not really that far off as well. Like that they're creating a digital artist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only difference with AI is it's like, and you know, you could say, oh, but that's like cheating because like you're just using AI software to make music. That's cheating. But like, if someone manages to blow an AI artist up, I think there's skill in it in terms of like marketing. It's a marketing skill because they've like figured out what works and what doesn't work. Sure, it's probably easy for them to make the music because they're all doing it through AI or whatever.
Yeah.
But they've still managed to make that AI artist big, you know? So that takes a skill in itself. You could almost say that marketers start doing that. Marketers literally, or like that's scary. The whole label talk with AI. But like, can you imagine that? Like if labels start doing that, where they're like, we're not artists, but we don't even need the artists.
Yeah.
We're creating the artists through AI.
And they can make iteration on iteration with all the money that they have. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy, but it's an interesting thing to think about. Imagine if like you collaborate with an AI artist.
See,
that'd be insane, bro.
It is crazy, and it's interesting. There's just a little bit of fear for me because where I am now, like I don't really understand how it would work. So I have this fear of the way I have it now, and like I make music, I use FL, and people 20 years ago would have been like, oh, FL's cheating. I mean, a lot of people still do say that.
Oh, get
And it's
out
like
of here.
you're not even really making music. And so like if I was to go and utilize AI to make music, would I get the same feeling? Because it's like if I make the beat, if I write the vocals, if I mix it, if I do everything, I have a special connection to that song because I put more of myself in it.
Yeah, I feel that.
But if I use AI and build an AI artist, is that less of me, and will I feel less?
Well, here's the interesting thing, because that's a great question. But like, what if you don't know, like you either don't know how to make music or you don't want to make music, but you love music, right? Let's say you start by creating an AI artist for yourself and you get really good at making songs that you really love, but it's not your vocals, anything. You've just managed to make an AI song that you really love. You're like, this is great. And you keep doing that. And you're like, oh, this is dope. Like I'm making music that I love, but I'm not really making it. I'm kind of like generating it. And then you think, well, why wouldn't other people like this? You know, I want to share this music that's not made by me, but I've created. It's so weird, but like, you know, like I want to share really good music with other people, and I've become good at making the AI create it.
Yeah.
That's
It just becomes,
interesting.
like you said, a different skill set then.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you'll have to become like Rick Rubin.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't have
you're
any.
literally a producer.
Yeah.
You're the producer of an AI artist.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Maybe that's
to
what
think
I'm
about.
afraid of. Like the skill set will change so much that the reason I love making music is for the specific skills that it takes. And if it changes, then I won't enjoy making it as much anymore.
Well, I guess it's like if it gets to a stage where you can't tell if it's like made by AI, then that kind of is an issue. But at the same time, I think it's like, you know what? Like people will know. You know, people will know because like you know, like you're personal about it. You know, you go perform or you like post videos about it. People will know that it's you that created it. You know, from scratch.
Well, that's really the question, isn't it? Because like they reckon AI is like going to be 1 billion times smarter than us.
Yeah.
So like, what can it not do? You know.
Well, I think at the end of the day, though, AI is not human. So it's like...
That's true.
Sure, like art is all subjective, but let's say that AI has better bars than you, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. It will.
Yeah, but like, okay, but it's not real. It's fake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next problem I would have is
This kid going forever.
is like to connect and break through the noise of the 1 billion AI artists that are created because it's so accessible for everyone. how are you ever going to break out and build a connection with someone if there's an infinite more amount of noise than there already is?
Well, go back to like the days.
Do you just
before-
give up on social media and just...
Yeah, I think so. Like you go back to the days where there wasn't all that shit.
That would be a crazy like revelation to happen in civilization and society, like AI.
Well, I mean, you think about it, man. Like the more stuff that goes in on the internet becomes more and more fake.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes more and more fake and it's sad, like, you know, but like it might get to a stage where it's like you have no other choice but to ditch social media and connect with people like by like doing shows or even busking or stuff like that, you know?
I mean, because that's the real goal at the end of it. Like, I can't really speak for you, but yeah, it's like getting in the studio with someone, making music with someone, showing someone the music, you know?
Yeah.
It's not about, like, social media is just a tool to get exposure and money, I guess.
But that's the other thing too, though, like, which is tricky, is like you might not always have the opportunity to connect with someone from a different country, you know, as well. So I think social media, yes, there is like, it mainly is like to get yourself out there and make money and stuff. But I also think it's a useful tool to connect with people that you might never get to connect with in person, if you know what I mean. But in saying that, man, it's getting scary. Like we were even talking about it today. Like people are like starting to do fake podcasts. Like, you know, how can you tell what's real or what's not real on the internet anymore? And like even like, you know, certain controversial edited videos that look so real, but are fake, you know, like it's a scary thing. But I think like at the end of the day, like, man, I'd actually be so happy if like we just didn't use our phones anymore.
See, like the more we're having this conversation, the more that starts to make sense. And like you were saying, like the more stuff that goes on, we're going to trust whatever's on there less and less. Like it's going to get to the point, I feel like, where it's just going to be like, I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that's fake. I have no idea. And so the only way to know if something is real is if you put your phone down. And we're just going to go back to that because it's going to be the only way to actually have connection anymore.
Yeah.
But I feel like these social media companies are so good at just biohacking your fucking brain and hooking you in.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So it's going to be interesting to see whether they have got us for good or not. You know what I mean?
Well, go back to like what you're saying about if you like deleted it for 5 years or whatever and just focused on music. Like, can you imagine how less distracted and how more focused and because these platforms make us numb to an extent, right?
Yeah.
Like they make us numb, right? Can you imagine like, that's why you see certain people who like live in the bush and shit and don't use their phones and shit. And they emotionally, they are just so like more aware, if that makes sense in a way, like aware of the world, aware of like nature and, you know, all that sort of stuff, because they have not been numbed by these platforms, you know? So like, man, like, you know, like when you say like, what would you do if you didn't have social media for like 5 years and worked on music? Bro, I would make some incredible music. Like I'd be on levels in terms of like an artist, you know? Yeah, I reckon anyone would be.
Yeah.
Because it's so much less distraction.
Yeah.
And numbness, you know? But
it's tough for me to think about doing that because as soon as I make something that I'm like, this is fucking crazy, as soon as I do that, I just want to put it out and show people.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just don't know if I could go that long. And I would constantly feel like that 5 years is an investment. And that whole time unless you're going out and you're doing shows and doing stuff in person, you're not really gonna go anywhere.
But I also think at the same time, like social media is an endless loop. You're never going to be on top of it, you know, unless you've got millions of followers or whatever. But even then, like, you know, it's always going to be like, nah, we want to give you less and less and less, you know. So, okay, let me ask you this then. Why not figure out a way where you can fully automate your social media, right? So like, no, literally, like, imagine this, right? You use like Buffer or whatever. You don't actually ever go on social media. And, you know, if some people think this is a bit wanky because then you're not replying to messages or comments and stuff. But you could always set up like a message thing saying, I don't go on social media, you know, like an automatic one. But like you could literally just be like, I'm going to make music. I'm going to film videos, like artistic videos, and I'm going to schedule my posts. And I'm not going to go on social media for however long, let's say a year, right? I'm just going to do that. So you're just focusing on the art. You're still growing because you're still putting content out on social media. You're just not going on there. You're not active on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just done it like if I'm not active, I don't think it'll grow. You
don't reckon? You don't believe in like just being so consistent that it eventually you just pick up?
Well, I just think like if this would be my guess, I don't know, like I might be completely wrong. But if I was to just make the art, make the videos, not look at social media, upload it, and it just distributes it.
Yeah.
And I'm not active on the platform, talking in DMs, replying to people, networking that way, that I would grow. Because unless that was part of your content and that was like made aware somehow, and that was like a cool niche thing that, you know, you're just a guy in your room making music and that's like, they're kind of looking in the window kind of.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. Like it's like a snapshot of your life for people to see. That's interesting. Like I feel like, I don't know if this is off topic, but you know John Cena? Do you follow him at all?
I don't follow him.
Okay, so John Cena is an interesting one because he's famous, but he's not the same as other famous like celebrities on Instagram. Like, you know what he does? Or like his I'll see if I can find it. His bio says something like, wait, let me just quickly look what it says. Cena. Okay, it says, "Welcome to my Instagram. These images will be posted without explanation for your interpretation. Enjoy." And it's literally, it's like a piece of art. It's like literally just random photos with no caption, nothing, right? Nothing. Literally no caption, just random stuff, right?
You want to show the camera?
Yeah. I mean, I took a screenshot, but like
they're just random photos.
It's literally nothing. Like it's just completely random, and some of them are of him. But do you see what I mean? It's so clever. It's such clever marketing because it's like he's pretty much saying, I'm not going to care about getting caught up in all this thing. I'm making a fool out of social media. Pretty much.
See, I think that's a genius thing to do when you're already there.
Yeah, I get that, but I also think that like him doing that has gotten him more famous.
For sure.
Because like I feel like that is eventually that consistency, you know, is gonna take off to a certain extent. Another example is this kid, he's like 13 and he does like challenges. So like he'll do like every day he'll do squats like for 100 days. And then after 100 days, he'll do like push-ups for 100 days. And every single day he gets kind of like what I started doing, the finger drumming. That's what he does, but like challenges like that. So he'll be like, every single day he'll be like day 90 of the squat challenge in a like American accent. And then he'll just like do squats with like some lo-fi music in the background and he speeds it up. So he's like going like this sort of thing. And he does that every day. And bro, is this guy big? Like, and I think he started in July, and he's got like, I can't remember what his name is, but he's got like 400,000 followers or something crazy like that.
See, and another thing too is like, it's tough because everywhere you look, you don't know whether it's the right answer. Like, is getting big on social media the ticket? Because how much are the followers worth with respect to your idea of success? Like, is it really going to lead to that? Like, I think about that a lot. Like, I want this. I want the money to be able to do what I want to do. I want the reach to be able to reach who I want to reach. I want the freedom to do to use those two things. Social media can get me there, I think, because it's gotten so many other people there. But is that the best way?
Or like another way of rephrasing that is like, is it worth putting as much time into it? I guess what I would say is that's why I think like what you said before about like having to be active, engaging. Yeah, that definitely does help, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you can become big on social media after a while of just being consistent in posting stuff. And what I would say, and this is what I would love to do, and the fact that I run a business makes it a bit hard because it's like I kind of have to be engaging with people on my business account because that's how I make clients and stuff.
Yeah.
But then because I'm on there, then it's so easy for me to go on my music page as well, Yeah. If I wasn't running a business, it would be a lot easier for me to do this. But I think the best thing, if you feel like, you always getting caught up in this social media bullshit, the best thing to do it is find a way that you can automate it, and that, like I said, that might be like using Buffer and just creating music, creating dope music, and, scheduling heaps of content, but then not going on the platform, doing it, setting up in a way so people are aware that you're not active, and then that gives you so much time. If you're disciplined enough, it gives you so much time to work on music and work on content and stuff. And then you're growing on autopilot. And your question about, is it even worth it? Well, at this point, it's just a plus, but it's not dragging you down, you're just letting it do its thing, and then you can focus on other things like doing shows or like collaborating with artists or like working on the music and all that stuff. You could even go one step further and go, okay, the only form of engagement I'm going to do is go live on Instagram. So like you could do the whole scheduling of content and stuff and then just go live like all the time. But that's all you do. You don't do any of the replying to messages or comments or stuff. You just go live and film yourself working on music or like, that sort of stuff.
That's interesting.
Or you could even go a step further, which like costs money, and I don't think it's always worth it, but you could pay a team to do all your social media engagement.
Yeah. I think that'd be the go when you've reached a certain level.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's interesting to think about engagement and all the different ways you could do it that require, or that can let you focus on the thing that is actually going to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you were able to make like 100 videos, right? And let's just say that like three videos per track, right? And you've got about 100 videos, right? So that's roughly 30 tracks around there, like 30 something tracks. Yeah, because 90 videos would be 30 tracks if it's 3 videos per track. So roughly around that. And then you just roll it out. Like, and you let Buffer schedule it all out, and then you just keep making music, keep making content, and then it's like growing on autopilot, you know? I reckon that's probably a really good thing to do.
That is a lot of like my kind of approach. Like, I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram and TikTok, especially because I have like the app timers now. That helps a lot.
That never helped me. I was always hopeless with that.
I still probably spend like half an hour on Instagram a day.
Yeah.
But I think YouTube is the biggest thing for me. Like, it just sucks a lot of time. And it's so appealing because there's so much different content, and it's also entertaining, and it's also...
I think YouTube is a lot healthier though. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know, my personal opinion, like...
I don't think the content is as brain dead, but yeah, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, what wastes a lot of time, yeah.
Yeah, right.
When I could be focusing on making the music. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, I think like if you're able to do it on autopilot and just let it do its thing and be so strict, like, you know, even to that point where, like, let's say your friend texts you and be like, bro, your video's got like 1 million views, and you don't look at it. If you can discipline yourself that much,
at what point do you
stop
do
doing
something? Like, if
You
you
just
start
let it
getting
go,
millions
man.
of views,
you start
but like,
seeing the
is that going to
results.
overflow into your life if you distance yourself from it? Because the reason you're doing it is to try and get yourself closer to your goals.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly like, you're just posting and not even looking at it.
Well, isn't there beauty in that though? Like, imagine this, like, imagine this scenario, right?
Or you're just doing it for shits and gigs.
You forgot your password. Like, can you imagine that? Like, can
That
you
is
imagine
funny.
being famous on social media and like obviously knowing about it? 'cause
You
people-
can post
people-
your account by a third party, and you can't actually log in to see anything.
Yeah, exactly. And can you imagine like people saying, "Oh, why do you not engage with people?" Like everyone like is always commenting on your stuff, and you're like, "I forgot my password." That'd be like the biggest meme. But how cool would that be? Like you're famous on social media, but you're just like living your best life, not being distracted by it all. Like that's kind of like
That is interesting.
That's kind of like what Kendrick Lamar does a bit. Like he will make an album that's an absolute masterpiece, and then he'll just disappear for like 5-10 years, you know, and then he'll come back and put an album out, you know.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine like the freedom you would have like doing something like that? Like, I've forgotten
like
my
NF
password.
as well.
Yeah.
NF.
Yeah, right.
He just comes back every year and a half, 2 years, puts out an album, disappears again.
Yeah, how cool is
Doesn't
that?
post. Yeah.
Like it's like yeah, I forgot my password. That's it. Like if I literally make that bullshit up, just like, or literally make yourself forget your password. Make sure that
Or
you
just get someone else to change it.
Yeah, that's good too. Like having like a person that's kind of an admin or whatever that's doing, you know. But like I just think like social media has gone to a point where, man, like why not play against it? It's meant to make you feel like shit.
And I
why
think
not play against it?
the irony is people will see that and it'll be interesting enough for them to be engaged.
Yeah, and
And
they'll
by
understand.
not playing into it, you'll actually get what you wanted to when you were actually trying to.
Like you can literally make it up. Like you can be like, you can make it a meme, like where kind of like what John Cena's done. Like he obviously doesn't want to get caught up because he's a celebrity. He doesn't want to get caught up in the bullshit. So he's literally put in his bio what his whole thing is about.
Yeah.
And then it's up to whoever wants to follow him. They don't have a choice but to respect that because he's not going to engage. Like he's
Either
not,
way, it's just
he's
is what it
he's
is.
doing what he wants, you know? So like, I feel like even if you went with the whole, like, I forgot my password and it's a joke, but it kind of it's kind of also saying that you're not going to be on there. Like
Yeah.
you have that in your bio. I forgot. How would they even work? Because how would you put that in your bio if you forgot your password, you know? But like you could say, I've forgotten my password. I can't log in. And then you still post through like Buffer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and you just post stuff. And then there's no...
Or you just say
no-
like, my mum runs my Instagram account.
Yeah, or something like that, you know? And then it's like gives you all the freedom of like, man, that's like what I've created. That's what I am. There's no expectation.
Yeah.
And if there is an expectation, it doesn't matter because I'm doing my own thing, you know?
It really then forces you to, like, it opens up so much time that it kind of
yeah.
forces you to do the things in real life that you are avoiding. Like going back to the question I was asking you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I feel like I'm avoiding getting out in the real world and getting in front of people that way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I do, good stuff happens. I just stop myself a lot of times.
Yeah. Do you feel like living at the coast is part of it as well? Like, do you feel like you're a bit more isolated here or?
Nah, man. Like from compared to where I grew up.
Yeah, right. Okay.
This is the city.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
and I think you can make it work anywhere. Like, obviously, if you're in Sydney, and I mean, it will be next year. So
Yeah.
maybe this is all the stars are aligning. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like,
plenty of opportunity.
yeah, I think like there's nothing better than word of mouth. Like even like, you know, that dude tonight, bro, like.
Who knows what the knock-on effect of that is going to be, you know?
Yeah,
Like you never know who knows who.
Yeah.
well.
Like for those who might be listening to this, what was his name?
Shane. Shout out Shane.
Shout out Shane. Yeah, we were filming like some like small little snippet videos for each other, like at the park or whatever, and I had my like big speaker. And
Big speaker.
Yeah.
Loud little speaker.
Very loud. Yeah.
Sounds big.
Sounds big. And Breezy was like like performing like his song, like I was filming him and stuff. And this guy from across the road was overheard it and came over and started chatting to us. And the power of that, like, you know, like that word of mouth, that in-person connection, you know, like, who knows if he would have ever discovered you through social media, and if he had
Zero chance, man.
Yeah, like
zero.
And even if he had, like, would it be the same?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But the fact that there was that strong in-person connection made a huge difference.
Yeah, because that's
you know?
another thing. Like, you never know how you're coming across in social media. Like, you don't know
Yes.
how other people are
Because
perceiving
it's all
you.
fake, man. Like
Yeah.
a lot of it is just fake. Like, and yeah, I think it's so important to put yourself out there in person. And
And I think that's why it'll work if you do the I forgot my password thing, because you're not trying anymore. Like, there's not so much value in how you're coming across, if that makes sense. Like, there's no emphasis on it. It's just like, this is just what I'm doing. It's not that serious.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think, you know, it would be easier said than done.
It's more
Like,
human. Yeah.
it would definitely be easier said than done. But at the end of the day, man, like, you know, if someone really wants to talk to you, or you really want to talk to someone, you know, they'll get your number and they'll text you, or they'll get your email, you know?
That's true, yeah.
And you can say that. Like you can literally have in your bio, I forgot my password, but you can email me. Or even better, you can email me if you want my number. If you wanted to.
Or you go even crazy and say, send a letter to this address or PO box. That would be crazy.
Yeah,
to get in contact,
bro. You're literally beating social media, because like platforms like Buffer will give you the opportunity. That's one thing I really love about Buffer is like I can like schedule my posts on the app without having to go into Instagram or whatever. On the app, I can schedule them for TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I don't have YouTube set up on there, but I could. Instagram, and I can just like schedule heaps of them, and then like I'll be on social media and be like, oh, this one dropped. Oh, I forgot about that. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just do that. So like you could schedule the next like 6 months and just be like, I'm off, I'm out of here. And you don't have to let social media like suck the life out of you. You know? Like sure you'll probably miss out. Oh, will you really miss out on my
See, that's the question. Like
will you though?
if I don't look at YouTube again.
Yeah, I think YouTube's a whole different thing though, because I think YouTube, like, there is still some dumb shit on there, but there's a lot of valuable information on YouTube, I think.
That's why it's tough, because I can get sucked in.
But like, see, and I don't know if this is kind of cheating, but like, I don't go on social media on Saturdays at all. Like, strict on that. Like, I don't. If I need to get in contact with someone, I'll find a way around it, you know, if it's texting or whatever. However, I do go on YouTube because I kind of look at YouTube as a different, and I don't know, some people might disagree with me and be like, nah, you're technically cheating, but like YouTube, that's it.
Well, I mean, it's not a social media platform. It's more like just a video sharing.
Yeah. Like, because I'm not going to go on YouTube Shorts and stuff, you know. I'm going to go on like YouTube videos that are like tutorials or something kind of interesting, you know.
Yeah.
Or like if I need to look up how to do something, you know. And even though you can kind of get in the rabbit hole with YouTube, I still think it's a lot healthier mentally, in my opinion. I don't know if you're the same.
It is. I think I spend too much time, or like I procrastinate with it is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. No, I feel that.
I definitely, there's a lot of value in what we were just talking about though.
Oh, 100%.
And it's definitely something I'm going to
It's
think
so
about.
appealing. Like,